How do we know when we are out of alignment with our soul's purpose? So in other words, are there signs or signals or messages from spirit or from the universe that they're trying to send us that we are all missing?
Absolutely. And that's the key word, is missing, is that when we're out of alignment with the universe, with heaven and our angels, things start to happen that we don't expect. For example, all of a sudden, instead of doors starting to open, they start to close. And then what also happens is that we start to feel unfulfilled. We start to feel like we're missing something. We start to feel as though, oh my God, I should be doing more, but I don't know what. And a lot of people miss these signs because these are actually signs from the universe and your angels and your loved ones. What people don't understand is that the messages that you're receiving, those little signals that you're getting, don't just come out of thin air. So people think, oh, I'm just thinking this. Oh, it'll change. It'll get better. No, these are signals. These are little messages that you're getting from your angels, your spirit guides, and your team in heaven. What they're trying to do is they're trying to open your eyes. They're trying to show you, hey, listen, look at what you're doing right now. You thought this was going to make you happy. You thought this is where you needed to be, but it's not. So what ends up happening is when you start to feel as though the doors are shutting, when you start to feel as though that, what you're doing isn't bringing you joy, isn't bringing you happiness, when work starts to feel like work, when life starts to feel like work, when you get overwhelmed, that's the universe saying, hey, you're out of alignment. It's supposed to be fun.
Oh, now this gets me so excited because I feel in my heart, because I've been through cycles of this. And in my own life, I remember being on Wall Street, and it was what my mind thought. It was the best that I could come up with after I graduated college. And I started getting these little intuitive, almost like messages from within. Like
whispers, right?
Whispers, exactly. This isn't who you are. This isn't what you're meant to do. This isn't who you're supposed to be. And it was just, it started out as a tiny whisper, and then it got louder, and then it got louder, and then it got louder. And then I basically had what I didn't identify as the time as a panic attack, but I had trouble breathing. I was sweating. I had to run out. I had to go cry on the church steps. I was a mess. And that whole little breakdown and me kind of ignoring those inner signals until it got so loud that physically I started to crumble was really the jumping off point to everything I've been able to enjoy and create. And I think I mentioned this on your show. It was a couple of years ago. I started to kind of feel similar things happen again. And I just want to talk about this because I think that in our culture, we're so trained to achieve. We're so trained to be productive and go after what society has told us is valuable, when we may have a totally different path, and that path is meant to change over time. So I'm curious if you can speak at all about that, because most of us, God willing, have the blessing of living a very long life. And that doesn't mean you're supposed to do the same thing forever, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So here's the thing. The thing is that exactly what you're saying is 100% true. Is that here in society, we're pushed into a box, right? We go to school, we go to college, some of us go to college, and our parents are telling us, you have to figure out what you want to do.
Yes.
I heard those words from when I was 16 years old. You have to figure out what you want to do. You have to figure out who you want to be. And there's a lot of pressure that's put on us at a young age, right? Is that, what do you see yourself doing in the future? Who is it that you want to be? What is it that you want to do? Well, we have all these questions that are put on us, all of this pressure, and we don't know at that age, right?
Totally.
We have to figure it out.
Yes.
But what happens is that we, many times we listen to our parents, we listen to the people who love and care about us, but just because they're your parents, just because they love and care about you, does not mean that they give you good advice. Meaning that your parents might give you advice that, listen, you're going to go to college, you're going to do this job, you're going to make a lot of money. And that's good advice to them, but it's not what your soul is meant to do. And that's where things get a little bit sticky, right?
Yes.
Because I talk to people all the time who, like you, are stuck in a life that they're afraid to leave.
Yes.
For example, you had your life made on the New York Stock Exchange, but it wasn't bringing your soul happiness.
Totally.
And you knew it, and you felt it, and you're like, how do I change? This is my life. I'm stuck here. And that's where people feel stuck, right? It's like, I just was talking to an attorney who went through the bar exam, graduated, went from law firm after law firm after law firm, studied different areas of law, and just is still not happy. And that is not the career that he wanted to do, but it was what his parents did. All of his parents were in legal, right? So he figured, okay, you know what? I want to go and make my parents happy. All of my family is successful. They're all living these beautiful lives. I want a life like this. So I need to go down this career path.
Yes.
Well, he was afraid. He was afraid to tell his parents, it's fulfilling you, but it's not fulfilling me.
Yes.
And that's when we are forced to look inward. What's going to make you feel fulfilled? And here's the thing, is that it doesn't matter if you took all this time in college. It doesn't matter if you took all this time going one way or another. The truth is that there's always time to pivot. There's always time to make changes. And as fast as you can think that can happen, it will, because heaven knows the quickest way to get you to your destination.
I love this. This is so exciting. And so just to underscore it, it doesn't matter if you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s or beyond. If you're still alive, there's still time to fulfill that destiny. One of the other things I loved, so I'm just going to hold up this. Matt has many books, so don't wait till you're dead. This is, I feel like, also a theme I want to unpack a little bit later in our conversation, because it's really, really important, especially many folks in our audience. We have folks that are in their teens all the way through their 80s, but so many people that pay attention in our show are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and at that age in life and that stage in life where they're feeling like, oh, wow, this journey may not last forever. I need to get my shit together. Do you know what I mean? So don't wait till you're dead. We're going to talk about all that.
Well, wait a minute. Before you talk about it, I got to tell you,
yes,
this is the book that people are afraid to read, believe it or not. When I put don't wait till you're dead, right? I thought that, like, oh my God, people are going to be like, what do I need to know? What do I need to learn? Like, what do I have to hear?
That's me.
And yeah, right? That's me too, because I always want to learn. And people were like, Matt, I'm afraid to read this book. Matt, because the biggest fear is death. The biggest fear is, well, there is an end to our life here in this world.
Yes.
And I don't want to feel pressure. I don't want to feel challenges. I don't want to feel any of these things. So many people are afraid to pick up the book and start reading through because they're afraid to start making changes or choices. They think that they're stuck. And it's not what this book is about. We're going to go all through it. It's about how you can make changes, and you don't have to wait till you're dead to pivot and change right now.
And also, too, I just want to tell everyone, like, this book is so fun. And I was reading it at a point kind of earlier in this year that I was just wrestling with things inside myself. And it's so uplifting. And one of the things, the gajillion things I appreciate, admire, and love about you is how you leave us feeling so hopeful, full of possibility. There's so much humor. There's so much energy. And it's all good news is my point. Everything in this book is really good news. Okay, so let's go back, because there is something that you talk about in the top of this. And I've believed this for, I think, my whole life, but you have the language and the words for this. It's this notion that prior to coming into our physical bodies, it's like our soul has a destiny. And there was like a whole planning session. And I oftentimes talk to my friends about it. I'm like, do you ever think about soul contracts? And they're like, what's that? And just this notion that prior to incarnating in this particular crazy ass form, that there was a bunch of stuff that my soul wanted to come here to do or to experience or to learn, even the hard and challenging stuff. So can you just share a bit about what you have come to learn through all of your interactions and your conversations with consciousness on the other side, or however we want to frame it, about that notion?
So this is mind-blowing, right? Especially when people like discover this for the first time, because it's like your soul exists before you exist, right? So before you're even born, you are a soul. You spent time in heaven. And what did you do in heaven before you were born? Well, you met with your spirit guide, you met with your angels, and you met key people within your life. You met your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your pets, all of these people, the challengers in life, the people that you're going to love in life. You met all of these people. But what's so beautiful is that before we're born, we're actually given a team. So a team that's actually not your family. It's actually celestial beings and very different beings that you've come to know. For example, you have your spirit guide, and your spirit guide knows this plan. And we're going to talk about the plan, but your spirit guide knows this plan that you're supposed to fulfill here on Earth. I like to think of it like a to-do list, right? That's really, or an itinerary. So your spirit guide has this spiritual itinerary of the things that you're supposed to do. Your guardian angel is there to help you, to not only just to protect you, but to help you discover your talents, gifts, and abilities. So a lot of times people think, oh, my guardian angel is there to help me if I'm in a plane crash or when I'm going through pain. No, your guardian angel is there to help you through the emotional struggles within life. But your guardian angel is also there to help you discover your talents, skills, and abilities. So anything that, aligns with your creative, whether you're a singer, a songwriter, whether you're a writer in general, an author, right? A painter, a music, whatever it is that you do, it aligns with God, it aligns with your angels, and you're meant to discover that here on Earth. So that's what your guardian angel is there for. And your guardian angel is helping you throughout life, discovering different gifts as you get older as well. We're not just stuck to one. But the way that it works is that there's 2 sessions that we go through. The life preview, which happens before we are born, and then the life review, which is what happens when we die. So during your life preview session, you're a soul that's in heaven, and your guardian angel shares with you your talents, gifts, and abilities. And then your spirit guide comes in and just reaffirms some things and says, you have a soulmate. You're meant to meet your soulmate. This is your pet. This is your mom. This is your dad. So your spirit guide is, really focused on getting you to the right people, but you have free will. You are not by any means connected to, strings in a hands. There's nobody controlling you. You have free will. So I like to call it the soul's itinerary because of this reason.
Yeah.
Think about going to an amusement park like Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, me and my wife went, she loves Disney.
Me too.
And my wife will put everything on the freaking schedule. She'll put I don't even know how many rides there are on Disney, but believe me,
lot.
It's like, we're going to do this, I'm going to eat here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do the other thing. And she, fills up this wish list of things to do. Well, as you all know, if you've all, went to a theme park, once you get there, things change, right? A ride might be down. So you can't ride it at that moment. You have to come back to it. It might be that, on the itinerary, you're going to go to this restaurant and eat Italian food, but there's this amazing food truck that pulls up and you're like, you know what, I want that. Or there's some specialty item that you want to eat that day. So the thing is that you have the itinerary that's there, but you can make decisions along the way. You can change that itinerary. Well, it's the same thing within life. This is one big attraction. We're here. We have these things that are on our agenda, but we can make our own choices in between.
I love that. So can you break down too so we have the team, because I know in the book, which I was like, oh, I've never heard anyone talk about this before. And I found it very, very useful because admittedly, I sometimes collapse things and I feel very, very connected spiritually and just talking and asking for guidance and receiving messages, but I never quite know who the hell I'm talking. And I don't mind it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to trip out on it, but I loved how clear you were. So spirit guide, is that someone who has been in human form before, as far as you know?
Yeah, so let's talk about this because this is really fun. And
yes.
I'm glad you brought this up because this is something that most people don't know. It's actually the most common question. When I talk about guardian angels, everybody goes, oh, my daughter who had passed away, that's my guardian angel. Oh, my mom that passed away, that's my guardian angel. No, they're not. Now, here's the thing. People get so upset when I say this. They're like, I know my daughter's my guardian angel, Matt. Well, listen, they're like a guardian angel within your life.
They're on
your
the team.
They're part of the team. They work with your angels. They work with your spirit guide. They're all there and with you. But your spirit guide and your guardian angel are very special souls. So let's talk about it. Your guardian angel never took human form. So your guardian angel has always been an angel on the other side. They're a celestial being, and they're part of the hierarchy in heaven. So your guardian angel has never lived a human life. Your guardian angel is one that spent their entire existence on earth, and your guardian angel is assigned to you and only you. So this is important because your guardian angel doesn't care about anyone else but you, and I love this. Your guardian angel only cares about you. You are the most important person in this world to your guardian angel. And they don't care if your problem is big or small, they're going to help you through it. So they're helping you by sending you positive energy. They're helping you when you're depressed and anxious and sad. They're helping you to work through those emotions. They're that little voice that tells you to keep going.
Yes.
But they're also orchestrating these, divine experiences that you're meant to go through within life that are going to be good for you. Now, here's the thing. They care about your emotions. They care about your emotional well-being. Think of your guardian angel like the guidance counselor in heaven, right? That always has the right advice. You can always cry in their shoulder. They're always right there. Your spirit guide is the opposite. Your spirit guide is someone who you don't know. Now, sometimes you do know them, but most likely you don't. Your spirit guide is somebody who actually lived here on earth and has died, and they chose to be a spirit guide. And this is the coolest job. Like when I die, I want to be a spirit guide because you get to choose to be a spirit guide for a couple different reasons. Maybe it's because you went through a failure within life and you want to come back as someone's spirit guide to make good on it. Maybe it was that here in life, you were too afraid. You were too afraid to share your talent, gift, and ability. Maybe it was that you were a gifted singer and songwriter, but you were too afraid to share your work. You were too afraid to share the music. So you come back as a spirit guide to somebody who also is going to have their talents and gifts, who you know from the other side during that life preview that they're going to be shy, they're going to be nervous, and you want to come and you want to help them. You want to help them to do the work that you didn't get to do. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes your spirit guide is like a mentor. They had amazing success here in this world. Maybe they were a doctor, maybe they were a nurse, maybe they helped countless people, and they see that you have that same thing that they did, that same drive, that same passion, that same skill. So they want to come back and help you to achieve that same success that they did. Think of it like this. Think of it like, those people who are retired that did amazing things.
Yes.
Like the greats of our world, right? And they come back and a lot of times they teach, they want to become a teacher, or they mentor certain people to live a similar life than they did. They see someone who has a gift, who has a dream, who has a goal, and they're like, I can teach you to do this. Much like you do, actually, right? Because you went through all of this. I mean,
yes.
I'm talking to the legend right here. Same thing. So you would make a really great spirit guide, by the way. So I think you're already doing it in life. But anyway, that's what a spirit guide does. But there's a key to this. Your spirit guide is a coach, right? So think guardian angel, guidance counselor. Yes. Think spirit guide coach. Yes. So you know what I'm about to say next.
Say it.
They're tough, right? Yes. Your spirit guide doesn't give a shit when you're going through hell. Your spirit guide doesn't give a shit if you're sad, depressed. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I don't know. Your spirit guide is there to lead you through the shit. So when you're in the trenches, when you're at the lowest of low, when you're going through that divorce, you would think that your spirit guide would be like, oh, let up a little bit. They're like, no, keep going. Like, you got to go through this. You have to go through this. And that's where your angel comes in, right? And then along the way, you have all your family members and all your people who had passed on that are also part of that team. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because you're receiving messages all the time from your spirit guide, your guardian angel, and your loved ones. And sometimes we don't know where the messages are coming from. And that trips people out. People are like, Matt, I need to know, was this my angel? Was this my guide? I'm like, who gives a shit? Just listen. Just listen. If somebody gives you valuable advice, like, listen.
Yes.
That's what's so important, is that it doesn't matter who's giving it to you. The messages just filter in. Sometimes I don't even know where the messages are coming from. But the truth is that the messages are being sent to you in different ways.
Yeah.
And as long as you listen and you're open, more messages will come.
So you've done thousands and thousands of readings for people, and I've seen your work. I've experienced a little bit of your work. You're incredible. What are some of the most common regrets or lessons that people share from the other side that they want us to know while we're still alive?
They gave up. 100% they gave up.
Tell me.
Because when souls get to the other side and they go through their life review, they see, if I just kept going, if I didn't give up, I would be able to achieve this, and this. And they see that they were so close, but something held them back. Fears, anxieties, right? And disbelief held them back. They're limiting beliefs. So for example, I've had people that have come to the other side, that come through from the other side, that said, oh my God, I could have met my soulmate, but I gave up on love. Because I went through these horrible relationships. I didn't want to be hurt again. I just gave it up. I threw in the towel. I thought I was too old. I thought I was this. I thought I was that. And I could have had this amazing time meeting this soulmate here in this world. Another one another big regret is that they did something for the wrong reasons, right? One of the reasons why we don't find our soulmate is because of the fact that we choose money or to be with somebody for financial reasons over love, right? And that's one of the biggest regrets that I see from the other side as well, is that somebody will meet their soulmate. They'll meet somebody that can provide for them and give them the life that they think that they want, right? With money and the Rolls Royces and whatever it is that you want, Rolex, right? And then you have that person that's your soulmate that, might not be able to give you that, but can give you love and companionship and a relationship and true love.
Yeah.
And how many times do I see people, and sadly I see it a lot of times, that people will go and say, you know what? I'm giving up this to go for this. And they regret it at the end of their life when they go back. And, many times they regret it in life as well. It's not just when they pass away. I talk to people from all different areas of life, being from 18 years old all the way up until, 70, 80 years old. And I can tell you that seeing about the behind the scenes of people's lives, there are different reoccurring themes that people regret. It could be over chances that they didn't take, opportunities they didn't pursue, dreams that they didn't fulfill because they were too scared, and many over love.
So I want to go back to a second for,
I love that you keep me on track, by the way.
Oh, I try my best. I mean, you and I are both people that have highly creative brains. And this is why I have my outline here, because I've done all my prep work. That feeling of being off track. Have you ever experienced that in your own life? Like I imagine, because I want you to also tell the story of how you became who you are now.
Oh my God.
Yes. Just because I think it's very illustrative. And again, at so many points in all of our lives, we do or can get off track. It's like, that's part of the travel. That's part of the adventure. And it doesn't make us bad or wrong, but to be able to have these conversations where, oh, this is what my experience felt like, and these are the steps I took to get back into alignment. I just think it's so inspiring. It's so instructive, and it makes people feel less alone. So, do you ever feel or get off track? And how did you find your way back?
Absolutely. So first of all, I still get off track till here and now, because here's the thing. Being a psychic medium, people are like, Matt, you're amazing. Like, you must like always make the right decision, and you must always listen to your guides. And listen, there are many times when my guides will tell me, don't do this, but I have to do it. I gotta do it, right? It's like, you gotta freaking do it. Like, listen, and it happens.
We have egos and minds.
We do, and it happens all the time with love. I mean, you guys all know, how many times have the people who are listening, how many times has someone told you, don't date that person, don't be with that person is X, Y, and Z, but you're like, they're hot, right? And that's really what happens, is your spirit guide could be like, listen, soulmate, right? Yes. And you're like, yeah, but hot guy, or, hot girl, right? And you're like, I don't care about what my spirit guide is saying. They're hot, they're sexy. I want to see where this goes. So we have to go through it, right? Yes. And that just happened to me not too long ago, where I was actually during COVID, right before COVID, actually, I was looking at a property that I was going to venture off in. I was going to use it as a studio space and whatnot. And what ended up happening is that I had walked into the space. I was like, this is perfect. It's perfect location, perfect for what I need. We were filming some courses and things. And I kept hearing, don't do it. You're going to regret it. Don't do it. This isn't the right time. This isn't the right time. Well, anyway, long story short, I'm like, but I have to, right? I have to. I don't care if it's gonna fall through. Well, anyways, not only did I hear that, but roadblocks started to happen, right? All of a sudden there was an issue with the contract. All of a sudden there was an issue with the inspection. All of a sudden there was just issue after issue. And after the third or fourth issue, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen. And I shut it down. But I was very much into the process.
Yes.
And, when I shut it down at that moment, I walked away from it. And then all of a sudden the COVID-19 happened, and the pandemic, and it wouldn't have worked out for me anyways. I would have been screwed. But luckily I caught myself in the act. Now, it still cost me some money, right? Yeah. Because of course I paid for an inspection. I paid for this. I paid for that, attorney fees, whatever, to secure this property. And I lost out. So I got taught a little bit of a lesson there. But at the same time, it could have been a lot worse if I didn't pull out, if I didn't listen.
Yes.
But in the beginning, they did warn me. And I did say, you know what? I don't care what you're saying. Basically, I want this so bad that I'm going to go towards it.
Okay, so let's talk about, I love that, by the way. And same thing over here. I try and share this as much as possible, especially around business and things. And I'm like, look, I do not have a crystal ball, even though I'm really good at what I do.
Well, that's what you call me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I make a ton of mistakes, and that's what we're here to do. All of us do it. So take us back to the time before you were doing what you do now. I mean, to go from paramedic to psychic medium, what a journey. What was that like?
Well, so I grew up being really, really sensitive. I could sense and feel other people's pain. I could feel people's emotions. I could feel what other people were going through. So growing up, I felt lost. I was never good in school. I couldn't focus. I couldn't pay attention. I remember my mom used to go and literally call at school every single day. I mean, I think she was down to school more than the principal was. Like, is he going to make it? Is he going to graduate? Is he going to pass the math test? And they're like, we think so. I remember this, like, but I got like 50 people comes to the graduation, because, my mother's Italian. So,
yes.
So anyways, my parents kept telling me, you have to go and figure this out. You got to figure this out. You got to figure out what it is that you want to do. And I remember my dad telling me, my dad is strict, 26, I think 21 years in the Navy. It's 21 or 26. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, my dad was a captain in the Navy, retired now. At the time, he was the fire commissioner for the city of Boston. So my dad's like, I did not raise, a loser. Like, you were going to figure this out. You're going to go to college. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not ready for college. Like, I don't know what I want to do. And he's like, that's okay. You're going to go into like general studies. You're going to figure it out. So I just picked something, right? And I remember like going to college and hating it. My parents paid all this money, and I'm like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. This isn't for me. So you know what I did? I stopped going. I just stopped going. My parents were out all that money. They were pissed when they found out that I had not attended class. I didn't go, and they were out the money. And I'm like, trying to tell my parents, like, listen, I don't know. I'm not interested. And no matter what I said, my father's like, you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. So anyways, what ended up happening is that I kept coming back to this feeling of wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel so connected to people. I want to help people. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a physician's assistant. I'm like, let me try it out. I think I'm going to start off as an EMT. And I just kept being pulled in that direction. So what ended up happening is I told my parents, and my parents said, F you. They said, we already spent so much money on you. Like, you pissed through our money. You didn't do well. Like, we put you in, like, if you want to do this, you have to do this yourself. So I remember being Italian, my mom saved my communion money. So I went into my communion money. I had some money that I had saved up, over the years and whatnot. And I paid to put myself through the EMT course. And for the first time, when I actually dished out the money and I invested in myself and I went in there, I was getting A's. I was the best student out of all of them. I was fantastic. Not to blow my own horn, but I never get to say that in life.
Yes.
So I was really good. I loved it. I was like, for once I felt like, on my A game, like, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. I was so excited. And then, I ended up working for the World Trade Center in Boston for the security operations department as an EMT. And I had life made, right? I was privately contracted, so I didn't have to ride in the ambulance. I didn't have to wipe the bums, all that stuff, right? I just went and literally I was in this beautiful complex where I was being very well taken care of at work. I had vacation time, I had everything. And I loved the people that I worked with, got to help people every day. And what was so beautiful was this, is that at the time, I genuinely felt like this was my path, like I was fulfilled. Until I went to go and see a medium for the first time. Now, back the story up. When I was 3, 4, 5 years old, I'd have encounters with spirit. My grandmother was a psychic medium. My mom was a psychic medium. But when I say that, people think like, oh, well, how could you not know you're a medium if your grandmother and your mom did this? Mm-hmm. Well, know that my grandmother and my mom didn't do readings. They had the gift where they would sense spirit, feel spirit. Once in a while, my mom or my grandmother would pull someone aside if they would get a message or see a vision or something they have to warn someone about. And my grandmother used to do readings in private way back in the day, just for close friends and family, to the point where her own husband didn't even know she did it.
Wow.
So that being said, I went to a medium at that time, and I thought I had my whole life figured out, right? I was, I had become an EMT. I was doing this. I was working. I was doing all these things. And when I went to go and see this medium, she had told me, this is not your path. Like, you have this gift. Yes, you're helping people, but you're thinking you're fulfilling your path because you're helping people on a physical level, but you're supposed to help people on a spiritual level, and she started to bring up these messages from my grandmother. My grandmother passed when I was 4. Your grandmother was a medium. And I was like, well, my grandmother wasn't like a medium. She didn't do what you do. She could feel things. And she's like, yes, but she was a medium. And she was telling me about all of these things and saying like, you think you have your path all set now. You think that this is great. You think this is wonderful, but you can't see what's ahead of you. She goes, you're meant to be on television. And I see you being on TV, and I see you being up on stages in front of thousands of people. I'm thinking to myself, this lady is out of her freaking mind. So long story short, she's telling me about this path, and you have to ask your mom, and you have to go back into it, and you need to call up your grandmother's friends. You have to figure out because you're meant to do this work as a medium. And I left this psychic medium. And I remember at the time she had said to me, her thing was at the end, she wanted you to like make a wish, right? She's like, I want you to make a wish before you leave the session. I wish for my money back. Cause I'm like, this is like ridiculous. This woman is so off. Like I got cons, right? Like, this is like not it. So I'm like, maybe she was like having a bad hair day. Cause like she got some things right about my grandmother being a medium and like that I could sense and feel spirit, but I'm not a psychic medium. That's not what I want to hear. Like I want to hear that I'm going to be a physician's assistant, be in a hospital. Like that was the end goal.
Yeah.
Long story short, what ended up happening is that I go home, I tell my mom, and my mom's like, oh my God, I never told you this. She's like, but your grandmother said before she died that like, you're going to be a medium. And my grandmother like told me that you had this gift, told me that you had this gift. So my mom went up and she got these cards. And she was like, these are the cards that grandma wanted you to have. And they were all like, I have to show them to you one day. They have writings on them, right? So they have writings on them. And she's like, these cards, even though your grandmother died, she wanted me to pass these on to you when you were ready. And like, these have like all the meanings. So use them, see if you feel anything. And what I'm not telling you is that when I went to see that medium that time, she had said to me, listen, if you ask for abilities to come back, even though I'd pushed it away for years and years because I didn't understand, I was afraid. She says, if you ask them to come back, they will. So after hearing this story and hearing about my grandmother and seeing these cards in front of me, I'm like, I'm going to ask for it to come back. I'm going to see what happens. So I started meditating. I started playing with the cards. I started asking questions. And then all of a sudden, it was just like this wave of awareness just came to me. And no matter where I went, I would start hearing things. I would start hearing whispers. It was crazy. Like all of a sudden I would just pick up on things. It was like having this heightened sense that I couldn't explain, to the point where I started asking people, oh, did you lose your stepfather? Oh, did you lose so-and-so? Did you lose this? And they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. Right? I didn't know at that moment. It's like I had tapped into it. And then I'm like, I have to find out as much about this as possible. And I went down the rabbit hole, exploring my psychic ability, doing readings at the World Trade Center in Boston for coworkers, right? And they're like, oh, I got to tell my friend about this. Oh, I got to tell my friend's friend about this, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, doors opens like you would not believe. From working the night shift and giving readings on the off hours, friends and family and people started finding out, and they're like, hey, so-and-so wants you to come to the house and do readings. So-and-so wants you over here. And I did it because I loved it, right? I wasn't making any money doing it. I was making $20, right? Then a friend of mine was like, hey, Matt, I got a hair salon. I got some clients. Can you come to the back of the hair salon, do some readings? Yeah, all right, I'll be there, right? Just give me a Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. I'll be good. And $20, I'll fill the tank. So that was it. So I did all these readings. And next thing you know, it's like, when I tell you the floodgates opened, it was like as quickly as my life was changing. Yeah. I was hearing like, Matt, we have a radio show that wants to interview you. Matt, we have a TV show. To the point where people started to recognize me at work. And that's when I was like, I need to make a change.
Wow.
And it was scary. It was scary because I was going from something that I had that was secure, right? Yeah. That was making great pay. I was up for a promotion. I had all my eggs in the basket. It was so good. I was the, top paid employee. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm doing something that I loved, mind you, but my soul was meant to do more. I felt it. And it was really hard because I'm like, if I step off of this, if I leave this, my position is going to get filled. I work for seniority, right? I have the best, at that time I had the best shift. I had morning shift. I was done by the afternoon. I had, great vacation time, great pay. I'm like, I can't come back. So I worked up the courage to leave, and I cried and cried and cried and cried, but I knew my soul had to do it. And then all of a sudden I never looked back.
Wow. That's so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that so fully, because it's crucial and it is scary. It's scary to step off the track, especially, and I think most importantly, when nothing's quote unquote wrong.
I want to tell you about this too, because there's something that I feel like people need to know. Now, mind you, when this was all happening, I had to make this decision, and word started going around. There were challenges that were here, right? Like there were people that loved and embraced me, and then there were all people like, well, when did Matt become psychic? How did this happen? They didn't know my backstory. They didn't understand, right? My dad was the fire commissioner for the city of Boston. There were certain news outlets that were coming to him saying, like, we're going to write a story about your son, like, because they were trying to make it out that I was like crazy or kooky. And then my father said to me, he sat me down, he's like, listen, you need to think about what you're doing. He's like, because, you're getting this media attention, all this is happening. He's like, and once it's out there that you're a psychic medium and you speak to the dead and you're doing all of these things, he says, if you want to go back and work in healthcare like you want to do, and you want to do all these things, first things people are going to do is Google you. And when they find out, oh, he was a psychic medium, oh, he was this, oh, he was that, he's like, people are going to judge you. And at the same time, he's like, you're not going to be able to put it back in the box. You're not just going to go back to being Matt Fraser. And he was right. He was right. And my mom was scared. My mom was very scared. Even though my mom had the gift, my mom was like, listen, I remember her telling me, I want you to do what you need to do. I'm proud of you. She's like, but me and your grandmother never told anyone for a reason. People would say that you were crazy. It was against God. It was this, it was that. She's like, and I don't want that for you. I don't want that. I don't want people to, ridicule you, to, yes, say things about you. I don't want this for you. And my mom was scared. My dad was scared. And I remember thinking about this. It was great advice. It was good advice. It was the truth. And my dad had said to me, look at how many mediums you hear about on television, right? There's only one. He's like, what do you think? How do you think you're going to make it? You're not going to make it. The odds are against you. And he was right again, right? But the truth is I've learned something along this process. Heaven doesn't see the 99 reasons why it won't work. They don't see the statistics on why it won't work, or why you're going to fail, or why you shouldn't do it. They see the one reason on why it will succeed for you. And all it takes is that one reason, and you're golden. So I had my one reason. I didn't see it. I trusted it. And I didn't see it. I was scared. I got to tell people I was scared because I knew this information I was getting was to protect me. It was out of love.
Yes.
Right? But it wasn't the right information for me. Yes. And luckily I trusted what was here. And that's what I want other people to do. Trust what's here. It's going to feel scary. You're going to get advice that is good advice, but maybe not good advice for you.
Oh, I feel like I've gotten that my whole life. That's good advice.
Because you're Italian.
Yes. Oh, it's true. No, it is great advice. And I remember when I was starting my business, and all of the kind of success books at the time were just about like, pick one thing and focus really hard and only be one thing. And when you do that one thing as good as possible, eventually, in decades and decades, you'll be recognized and you can help people and all that stuff. And I remember trying to be one thing, like, for example, just a quote unquote life coach, or or just a X, Y, or Z. I was like, I felt like I was cutting off a limb. And my inner guidance was like, no, you're meant to do many things. So like my career as a Nike athlete, and then in business, and all of these different things where I came up with the phrase multi-passionate entrepreneur, that was like, it was not in a book. And it didn't make sense. And it was like, it seemed like it went against all conventional wisdom. And when I would talk to people they're like, that sounds crazy, but same thing. And that's the other reason why I'm so happy you're hearing that we're having this conversation, because redirecting people to their own inner messages and their own wisdom, I feel like is so important. And it's so lost these days, especially with modern technology, right? We've all been conditioned to kind of ask outside of ourselves, or to look to sources outside of ourselves and to other people for what we should do, rather than kind of creating some space and listening.
But what happens when you go to the doctor? What happens when you go to the doctor and you say, oh my God, I'm having this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. The first thing the doctor's going to say is, don't Google it.
Yes.
Whatever you do, don't Google it, right?
Yes.
How many times that happened? I know there's family members that, like, my mom is like a hypochondriac. I remember like I forget what the hell it was. She went for the cataract surgery, right? And the doctor's like, whatever you do, don't Google it before you come in. And my mother's like, of course she Googles it, right? And of course she hears like all these horror stories, and my mom went through and she was fine,
yes.
Right? So you can't go by other people's journey, other people's stories, because yours is written as your own.
Yes.
But what I can tell you is this. And this is what's so important that I think that people lose track of, is that your journey is your journey. And when you go down the wrong path, it's sometimes meant for you. So for example, you were talking about being, in athletic, right? Being an athlete. Well, also that helped you to where you are now, right? Yes. The coaching process, it's part of it. Well, same thing with me with the medical. I'll tell you, being a psychic medium, I can't tell you how many times I rely on my past as an EMT, because first of all, I have to use my ability to figure out how people had died, what had happened. I have to talk to my clients that might be going through a health situation and help them. But also at the same time, I learned valuable things as an EMT. I learned about grief. I learned about dealing with loss. I've learned about bereavement, all of these different things. And I use that now today when I give readings, right? About how to treat people. And I'll never forget my EMT teacher at the time had told us this. And I use this, it's just my motto, almost like yours is everything is figure outable. She said, treat everybody like family. When she used to go and give us our tests, and we used to have to go and do CPR and do, the intubate people and whatnot, she would say, I'm looking at that mannequin on the floor and I'm pretending that's my uncle and that's my aunt. And I have to trust you to take care of that person. So you need to treat everybody like it's your grandmother, like it's your mom, like it's your family member. And that's the love and the commitment that you need to give to each patient that you take care of. And I do that every day as a medium today. So I'm constantly relying on, that source of wisdom that I got from that textbook that has nothing to do with what I do, but has everything to do with what I do, right? Still here and now. It's taking the healing from physical to emotional and working that in.
You know what I love about that too, is that it speaks to this notion that not any part of your path was wrong, right? It's like, it's everything that we go through, even the things that we think are so-called detours, or, oh, I was on the wrong path, or I was doing this and it wasn't really for me. It was like, well, actually, that was probably a big part of your journey to get you where you need to go. And even though you might not have that insight or be able to make those connections quite yet, it's to be kind to yourself and go, there was actually a higher, more divinely orchestrated purpose for all of this. I know in my history, I can be so hard on myself sometimes for decisions I've made or for things I've done where I feel like I'm like, God, that was stupid. Or, just going through that, you should have known better, or why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And always, if I give it enough time and I look back from a higher perspective, I'm like, it was actually the best thing. It hurt at the time. It sucked. It was rough to go through, but it actually got me to a better place.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, same thing with me as a medium, right? Yeah. And I talk about what makes me different.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be as different of a medium as I am if it wasn't for being an EMT. For example, when you're an EMT, one of the other things that you're taught is that as an EMT, you have to solve someone's problem. So you can't just put the Band-Aid on something. That's not what it's about, right? There are steps that you have to take to save a life. If you don't do it in the correct order, if you don't do start, middle, and end, right, you're not going to save that person. So it's very important that you take it seriously. It's very important that you carry out the steps that you need to. And it's very important that you get that person better. That's the end result, right? It's not just throwing the Band-Aid on it or treating symptoms. It's getting the person from sick or not feeling well or whatever they are to a place where they're stable and they're comfortable and they're able to be viable and live life. So as a medium, that's what I try to do, when I'm doing a reading. It's not just about delivering a message. It's about how can we help this person to heal as a whole, right? How can we help them? It's not just about saying, oh, your grandmother's here, she's fine in heaven. It's about going deeper. It's about fixing and patching up the things that maybe her grandmother didn't get to say, maybe they didn't get to experience with one another, and figuring out where the pain points are, right? Asking for that guidance from spirit. And then I want people to leave me and feel healed and feel as though that there's a weight off of their chest. I want them to leave and feel like, wow, something just changed within me.
That's so beautiful. I think I read in this book, tell me if I got this right. There was a story, and I think this is instructive around so many folks in our audience have something they want to share out into the world, and they're so afraid of the judgment or the criticism that can come back. And obviously you are in a hyper kind of end of this continuum, right? People disbelieving or thinking it's bullshit or whatever it is. Did you go on a radio show early on in your career and basically the radio host was essentially terrible to you, right? And just came in on you. And then it was a terrible experience. And did you tell your PR person, no, I want to go back?
Well, she told me that you have to go back,
yes.
right?
Okay, tell me that whole story.
And I didn't want to go back.
Okay, tell that whole story because I just gave the little preview. Yes.
So when I was first coming into my gift, right, I was unsure. I was nervous. I was scared. I hadn't done much press. And here I was going on a radio show. And it was a radio talk show. And I will tell you that it was a shock jock station. And I didn't listen to that type of radio. So I had no idea. Like, I felt like I was thrown to the wolves. I I genuinely had no idea what this type of show was going to be like. Yes. I mean, it was, those type of shows. It's explosive, it's polarizing, whatnot. So I went on the show and immediately they're starting to hit me with these questions, right? About, how do we know if psychics are fake and this and that? And like all of these tough questions. And I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. They were attacking me. I felt like I was being attacked and like being asked all these questions, but I froze. I completely froze. And I was like, I lost my voice. I didn't know what to do. I was like, and literally they threw me off the air. Like, that's how it ended. They're like, okay, well, that's Matt Fraser. Give me your website. And that was it. And I was embarrassed. Like, I tried mortified. And you know what? It brought me back to experiences as a kid when I was like bullied and whatnot. And I think that's what triggered me. I think it triggered me because I was at a point where I was on other friendly stations where people loved me and wanted a reading and, genuinely was curious. And I was at the station where people like prove it to me. And you say you can do this and you can say you can do that. And I had never been talked to like that. I'd never been, in a place where I had to defend myself like that, with my psychic gift. So I called my PR person. I said, what is wrong with you? Never put me on that show again. I will never go on a show like this. And she had said to me, but Matt, if you're going to do this and you're going to be in the public's eye and you're going to, go on media, you need to know how to handle all situations. And I'm like, I don't want to handle this situation. I can't. How can you handle someone like this? How can you handle someone that's negative? How can you handle people that are coming at you and attacking you? And that's what I was. I was under attack. Well, she said to me, check in with your guides, take a moment, do what you do, meditate, ask for advice and see what comes to you. She says, I think you should go back. And I was like, she's crazy. Absolutely not. I will not go back. And next thing you know, I had felt I need to go back. And I'm like, I was scared out of my mind, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Well, I prepared and I prepared. And I said, I'm not going to let anybody shake me. I'm not going to let anyone change me. I'm not going to let anyone's, voice or opinions change who I am. And I went on the show, freaking killed it and rocked it. And I was actually asked to be on a weekly spot there. So the thing is that it was a challenge that I had to overcome. And now I feel I can go anywhere. Anyone can ask me anything. And they do. If you look at the interviews, some are nice, some are not so nice. But at the same time, you have to be real. Yes. And at the same time, I feel like even when interviews, I've learned one thing. Even when interviews you go on with somebody, it just happened actually recently, where somebody doesn't respect you, the audience can see through it. They can see through it. And as long as you bring your heart, your soul, you have your pure intentions, they can see who you are and what you're all about.
Thank you for sharing that story. So I want to peel into it because I know I'm hearing my audience, and that's one of the gift of doing this for so long. Like I can hear the questions before they actually happen. What did you do to prepare for that? Like knowing that, first of all, that can be a very traumatic experience, especially if you experience bullying. And I know I've had many situations in my life where that just people come for you and they attack, and it can be like rough on the nervous system. So how exactly did you go? And I understand it's like, okay, you sat with it. You were like, I do need to go back. Then what practically did you do? Like,
so here's what I did.
Okay.
So first of all, I looked back at all the questions that I was asked, all these questions and how they're asked. And I said, you know what? How can I teach people? How can I educate people? Because it's not about the host, it's about the audience. So I don't have to convince him. He's not going to be convinced. So I heard from my guides and my angels, that's not about him. Don't listen to him, Matt. Take the question and educate. And whether he believes it or not, there's listeners out there that will. And I'll tell you that's what I did. I went back on and I let them hear me, and they were like, you know what? I started answering the questions about heaven and the afterlife and what I've saw and all these things. And they were like, okay, you know what? You're a psychic. Prove it to us. Let's take some calls. I said, okay, let's take some calls. And they weren't getting what they wanted. They weren't stumping me. They weren't stumping me like before.
Yeah.
So we took the calls, and people were having these amazing experiences. And next thing you know, people were calling me from that radio show asking for readings. I mean, my events were like selling out like crazy. And it was crazy because it was actually more successful than any other radio show that I'd done. So the other radio shows where it was nice and fluffy and, oh yeah, your mom's here. Oh, your grandmother's here. Oh yeah, this is what they're saying. That didn't do much for me. But being on this show where these were hardcore skeptics who didn't want to believe, who had me on, who literally hung my balls from the wall, right? I was on the show, and everybody who was listening could hear it was real. It was raw. It was a real conversation. And guess what? It changed people. It changed people that day. And they were grown men who were calling up the radio show, crying, saying like, I'm 45. I'm driving to work. I'm crying right now. And it was amazing because I realized I was there for a reason at that moment. It took me a while, but I realized that the people that I was on before, those nice and warm and fluffy shows, those are people that believed in mediums, believed in the other side. I wasn't telling them anything new.
Yeah.
But here I was on this shock jock radio show, right? With all these men that, didn't believe in the afterlife, that this just came in and screwed up their whole world. They're like, wait a minute, there's an afterlife? Wait a minute, there's something that happens when we die. And all of a sudden, they were like, holy, I can't believe it.
That's so cool.
That's what they needed. That was the audience that I needed. And that became my audience. The audience of the people who didn't believe became my biggest audience, my biggest supporters. Still to this day, people who come over, I'll tell you the name of the show, WAAF. There are people who come to me that say, I remember you on WAAF. I used to listen to you every single morning. Every single morning I used to listen to you. And whoever knows, so if it's listening, who's from Boston, knows WAAF, you know WAAF.
That is so cool. So did you, and this is more just because I'm such a curious cat on this, your energy. So you had the questions prepared and you're like, okay, I'm going to educate. So you knew that you were coming in with, hey, I'm not going to necessarily change his mind, the host, but this is about the audience. So I'm going to come at it from that point of view. Even though that energy was still coming at you, that was probably, I would imagine, somewhat disrespectful or downplaying who you are. Did you feel like you were a little bit in the matrix where you almost like absorbed that, I'll call it hate for lack of a better word, even if it might not have been, and just were playful towards them? Like, did you take a defensive stance at all or no? So
no.
That, I think this is, I just want to say this out loud because again, I can't tell you, Matt, how many times I get this question from people who, again, they might just want to share about the t-shirt they're making or their dog collars. Do you know what I mean? They're not necessarily saying, hey, I'm a psychic and I can talk to the dead, but there's still this deep fear of sharing their gifts and fulfilling their purpose because they don't want that incoming. They don't want that judgment. They don't want people saying, who do you think you are for X, Y, and Z reason? So if you can even tell us a little bit more about your energetic posturing, or again, if they said something, let's call it disrespectful, did you just kind of laugh it off and almost let it go by and then stay on message?
No. So here's what I would do. And this is really important, is that I didn't think about that person. I thought about the audience. I thought about the person who's on the other end of that microphone, who's in the car that's listening. What do they need to hear? Because you know what? He might be asking this question in a disrespectful way.
Yes.
But the person in that car really needs that message. They really need to hear that information. So that's what I did, is I changed it. It's like, okay, you know what? I don't, like, for example, there were all different questions that were coming my way. But one of which was, well, what about other mediums? What about this medium who did this and this medium who did that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I took it as an opportunity to say, listen, not all people are going to do the right thing. Happens in every single industry. But the thing is that you have to find somebody that you trust, that somebody that you somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can confide in, somebody that, energetically speaks to you. And there's a different teacher for every person. And at that moment, it's answering the question and also educating the person in that car, educating the person who's listening, breaking through to them. At the point, they matter. It's not that one person on the microphone.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about your specific practices, if that's cool, as you go into doing this, because I could imagine there's quite a bit of skill building and processes that you have to go through because you work with so many people. So are there any things that you learned how to do to strengthen your ability to connect with spirit, whether it was for yourself, for your family, or doing these massive readings with thousands and thousands of people?
Well, first of all, I gotta tell you, I learn every single day. So every single day I'm learning something new, right? Because it's just like learning a new language. So the same way that if you're not a natural speaker of Spanish or French, right? It's not a language that you were born into. You have to learn these words. You have to learn these phrases. You have to learn the slang. You have to learn all of that. Well, it's the same thing with communicating with spirit. It's literally like being Rosetta Stone. You know how you have to go on Rosetta Stone to learn, or I think it's Babbel now that people use it, Duolingo. It's the same thing with the spirit world, right? You have to learn about how they're communicating with you, what to feel, what those feelings mean, what those signals mean. So it's literally like learning a new language, because here in this world, we speak, right, with our words. In the spirit world, it's completely different. So first of all, to break this down, your loved ones in spirit are on a different vibration. They're on a different energy. So souls on the other side, as weird as it is, they don't talk to each other using words, right? So they're not there having a conversation like me and you. They actually speak to each other with their minds. And it sounds crazy, but it's true. So what happens is, and that freaks me out, by the way, like when they say it's kind of like an alien thing, right? Like, what do you mean they use their minds to speak?
It's like, it's almost like telepathy or some just sending, it sounds like, and my experience has been, and again, I am not a psychic or a medium, but my experience has been you receive a very clear message. You just don't auditorily necessarily hear it.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. So you know what, at first, and I asked the spirit world these questions because I know that you're going to ask me these questions, and some jerk on the radio is going to ask me this question one day. It's like, well, isn't that weird? Isn't that creepy? What do the people on the other side think of this? Well, here's what they think about this. In the beginning, I remember, and you remember back in the day when text messages first came out and we didn't have our smartphones. We had remember we had to do it on our keypad. Yes. And I remember I think it was my cousin who their daughter was in college, and he got like a $500 texting bill. And he was like, what the hell? What the hell is she texting? How is she texting? And I remember my whole family jumping in on this conversation when texting first came out and was like, that's so stupid. How can you have a conversation over text message? How can you talk to somebody? Right? I prefer a phone call. This is gonna go away. This isn't gonna be a thing. And now nobody ever picks up the phone. We always just text, right? And we can feel emotions through text messages. Yes. We can send emojis. It's a different way of communicating, but now it's just normal. Back then it wasn't, but now it is. So this new way of communicating is something that we all know. We don't know any different now. It's like it's always been here, but it hasn't. Well, it's the same thing with the other side. When you get to the other side and you learn to communicate in this new way, you're not like, wait a minute, this is weird. It's like, oh, this is how I communicate, just like over FaceTime, just like over phone, just like over text messages. So the thing is that one, it's about learning how they communicate and knowing that the souls are going to communicate different. They're communicating from their world into our world. So, for example, people say on my YouTube page all the time, how the hell does this guy speak to the dead when he doesn't shut up when he's giving a reading? Right? Like they think that, I don't know, maybe some Italian, I don't know. That they think that literally, if I'm talking to your mother or your grandmother, then I'm going to be like, hold on a second. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Your grandmother wants to tell you this, and this. Or your mom wants to tell you this, and this. But that's not actually how it works. The way that it works is that because the souls are energy, they use energy to communicate. So there's all energy between us. Right now, people are thinking about you. You're thinking about them, right? There's energy going back and forth on this podcast, right? And that's the reason why sometimes we can feel like the phone's going to ring, and next thing it does. Feel that you think of someone that just pops into your head, and then next thing you know, they call you or reach out to you, you run into them. It's because that energy is being exchanged. Well, that same energy is being exchanged from the spirit world to us. So being a medium, the way that souls communicate is they use different signals to me, different signs. So for example, one sign is physical. If somebody passed of a heart attack, I might start to feel my heart start to flutter. If somebody passed and they lost their legs, I'll start to feel this numbness or this tingling sensation within my legs. It's very light, very subtle, but it happens. And then I'll hear whispers, like names, dates, and places. But mainly the way they communicate is visions. So visions are like daydreaming while you're awake. Is that all of a sudden you might see somebody on a hospital bed, in their last moment. Maybe it is that you're brought back to the way that they had died and it was a car accident that had happened. So you see these little visions, almost like if I were to give you a photo album of my life and I'm like, hey, Marie, tell me about my life. And you're like, oh, Matt, I'm seeing a birthday cake and I'm seeing you celebrating and it looks like it's July 8th. And that's how you would interpret the photo album. That's how a medium interprets. So the reason why that souls communicate in this way is one, because they're in a different world, but two, it's the easiest and fastest way for them to tell their story. So when I see these visions, as fast as they're coming through to me, is as fast as I can go and say it to you, right? Is that they don't have to be there telling me word for word. They're showing me, I'm feeling it, and I'm sensing it. So just in a few short moments, the way that it would work is, I'll ask the soul a question. How'd you pass? They'll say quick illness. I'll start to feel my heart. I'll know that they passed of a heart attack, right? Then they'll start to show me visions of an ambulance. I'll know that they died on the way to the hospital. And just in a few seconds, I'll know what happened to them without them having to take all this time explaining. So what I've learned to do is this. I've learned that every soul communicates different. There's some souls that'll come through and tell you what type of underwear that they wore, what they did back in the day, who they did it with, and everything, right?
Yeah.
And there's some souls that are more reserved. There's some souls that have an amazing life story. There's some souls that had a very boring life story. There's some souls that are super talkative. There's some souls that are not. So at the end of the day, it's really tuning into those souls, right? Finding out how they communicate, asking the right questions to the soul, almost like you're interviewing them, and then relaying the message.
Do you have to say, like, closed for now? Do you know what I mean? Like if you're about to do get on stage and there are thousands and thousands of people super hopeful that someone's going to come through for them, or even in a private reading, because I would imagine, this ability to communicate of yours, it's a gift, it's an ability, it's something that you have. And you and Alexa and your kids might be hanging out and you're like, wait, not now. Do you have to intentionally kind of close yourself down for business or open for business when doing readings?
So it's tough, right?
Yeah.
The answer is yes and no.
Yes and no.
So it's like, for example, just like being a doctor on call, right?
Yeah.
Or being a doctor in general, right? When you leave the hospital, you hang your scrubs up for the day or your robe up, your coat up for the day. But the thing is that you still have that cell phone and that pager on you. God forbid if someone needs you. Well, that's the same thing with me, is that sometimes information will come. Sometimes information will come about the client that's calling in tomorrow, right? Their mom's there a little bit early. Their dad's there a little bit early. Sometimes it's about that event that's coming up. Sometimes it's about people with my life. So it does pop in and pop out, just like a text message would.
Yeah.
And I've learned to live with it, because being a medium isn't just a job, it's my life.
Yes. That's awesome. So let's talk about tapping into our own inner psychics and trusting our soul's voice. Do you think that everyone has the ability to hear, whether you want to call it psychic messages or messages from the other side? And if so, what are some practical things people can do just to start to open up a little bit more?
First of all, absolutely. And the one message that I hate to get, it's a flattering message, but it literally just makes me so sad, is when people come to me and say, Matt, I want to be just like you. I want to do exactly what you do. And the reason why that makes me happy and sad is that, one, I'm glad that they look up to me in that way, but it makes me sad because even if I taught that person to do what I do, that they would be cheating themselves out of their own greatness. And what I mean by that is that every psychic medium is different. My grandmother was a different psychic medium than my mom is to me. So I'm a medium where I see and hear the departed. They appear in front of me. I see shadows and silhouettes. I connect. They tell me how they had died, pass on messages. My mom is a life psychic. So my mom is someone who can sit down with a person, and my mom actually sees visions and tea leaves and sees visions.
And coffee, right?
Oh, and coffee, everything. It's unbelievable. And my mom can tell you who it is that you're going to meet, who your soulmate is, who you're going to get married to, how many kids you're going to have, where you're going to end up, if that job's going to happen for you. That's what she sees. It's all about your life, right? And then my grandmother was the type of medium that my grandmother used to read cards. My grandmother would get intense premonitions, worldly premonitions about people. It was just insane. So the thing was, my grandmother had one gift. My mom has another. I have another. We're all part of the same bloodline, but completely different gifts. I can't do what my mom does.
Right.
My mom can't do what I do, right? But it doesn't matter. My mom is gifted, insanely gifted. Like somebody asked me the other day, they're like, Matt, be honest. Who's the better medium? You or your mom? I'm like, I can't answer that because we both have completely different gifts. You're not comparing apples to apples, right? So the thing is that with you, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't look to see how anybody else is getting their messages, because how you receive your information is going to be different. You could hear, you could feel, you could see. The first way to really tap in and to understand how it is that you're psychic is to look back and to look for the coincidences, the things that you felt and knew about that you shouldn't have known about. How many times did you say, oh my God, I knew that was going to happen, right? So for example, there's things within life that we're psychic about that we don't realize how we're getting this information. So for example, there was a woman that I was just speaking to not too long ago, and it's actually a neighbor of mine, and she was going to hang a picture in her house, and she was waiting for her husband to come home, and her husband was never coming home, and she's like, I'm going to go hang that picture. And something kept telling her, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. It's too high up. You're going to fall, balance. And, her brain took over. She's like, I'm going to go and do it. And she slipped and she fell. Jeez. Now, luckily, she didn't get hurt, right? She just got a bruise. She didn't have to go to the hospital, but she's like, I should have listened. How many of you have had that little voice inside of you? That's the voice that you have to pay attention to, because it's a small voice, a voice that you almost ignore, but the more that you listen to it, the more you recognize it, the louder it becomes. And then also at the same time, you can ask questions to your loved ones, and you can talk to your loved ones. And you talk to your loved ones in spirit. You show them that you're open to receiving their messages, their guidance. And what's so beautiful is that you'll start to hear messages yourself.
You know what I get a lot of messages about? Dessert.
Really?
I swear to you, I was just in Sicily for 3 weeks, and I don't know if it's my guardian angel spirit guide or my intuition or just my tummy. I'm not sure, but it's like I will look, and I know this is so silly, but it's like one of my clearest examples when I look at a menu and then I'll ask the server like, oh, what's the best thing, to try? And they'll tell me something, what they think is best, but it's like, no, Marie, you're going to love this one. I can't tell you how many times I've sent Josh back because like I've listened to them rather to myself, and I'm like, go change it. And it was right. And it's like,
you know what it is, but that actually is a key example, because sometimes souls will show you something very small.
Yes.
Very, very small. Like, oh, the parking spot is over here.
Yes.
Right. And you're like, no, I'm going to go over here. And then you go to look, and it was where they said it was going to be. And it's because that's your guides and your angels saying, hey, listen, if we can share this with you.
Yes. We got a lot more good cannolis to come.
Exactly. And that's what it is that your angels know you, your spirit guides know you,
yes.
and they're trying to get you to pay attention.
Yes.
So they're trying to get you to recognize that voice. And it happens with all of us, where a lot of people don't know what to look for. Here's some clear-cut signs, right? When you first lose a loved one, there's the unexplained that happens. So because souls have to learn, here's actually, this is a really cool part. Souls have to learn how to get in touch with us just as much as we have to learn to get in touch with them. So remember, the same way that our loved ones go from a physical being to having a body to passing on to being a spirit on the other side, we have to learn how to get in touch with them. They have to learn how to get in touch with us. So they actually choose signs on the other side that they'll use to reach us. And signs are anything that remind you of a loved one that passed away. Dragonflies, butterflies, repeating numbers, smells. Anything that reminds you of a loved one that passed. Pennies, dimes, nickels, you name it. There's so many different signs. But what also happens, which is really interesting, is that your loved ones in spirit will actually go and test out the connection. So before they pick the signs, before that they try to get through to you, they don't know, like I said, they don't know how to communicate. So this is when the unexplained happens. New souls carry a lot of energy. And I like to think of them as clumsy, right? Because they don't really know what they're doing in their new body. So if you first lose a loved one, you have weird things that start to happen. So for example, you might be sleeping, and then all of a sudden something crashes in your kitchen. And you're like, wait, how did that crash? How did that picture fall down? It's been up there for 30 years, right? The smoke alarms might go off in your house, right? And there's no smoke, no one's cooking. You're like, how did that happen? All of a sudden, the lights might start to flicker. The doorbell might ring. Weird electronical interference might happen. These are all signs that your loved ones are there. They're not actually going and, setting off your fire alarm intentionally. They're not like holding a match up there. It's just that our electronics can sense their energy because they're a new soul and it's a different frequency and vibration.
I've always suspected that electronics are the place. And I feel like any kind of workshops I've done or books that I've read, it feels as though electronics are a place where it's almost the easiest frequency, for lack of a better word, for them to influence. So I'm really happy that you're affirming that, because it's happened a bunch. And I'm like, there's something happening here. Okay, let me ask you this. If someone feels like they're getting intuitive hits but keeps second guessing themselves, is there anything that can help them trust their inner voice more? Or is it what we just talked about, just kind of like looking historically back at your own experience and go, when did I not listen? And it kind of foobarred me.
Well, the thing is that when you feel something, you have to determine, is it your anxiety speaking or is it your psychic voice speaking,
okay.
Right?
How do we distinguish the two?
There's a really good example. So your anxieties and fears will always hold you back. It's the doubt that you place in your mind. This won't work, this won't work, this won't work. And the way that I like to distinguish it is that your anxieties and your disbeliefs are always the front of your mind. They're the loudest voice because they're your voice. Where If you hear your voice telling you that's not going to work, that's not going to work, that's not going to work, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, right? Or you're afraid of failure, you're afraid of this, you're afraid of that. That's all speaking from you. And you'll hear that. That'll be the clearest voice that you hear. Your intuition and your psychic ability will be the smaller voice that you hear, right? That little tiny voice, when you're presented with all of these options, it's that little tiny voice inside you that's saying, no, it's going to work. So let your brain go crazy. Let your brain present all the reasons why it's not going to work, all the reasons why you should be fearful, why you should have anxiety, why you shouldn't do it. And then take a moment and feel it out. Right? Feel what you're feeling. Is it that you're feeling, but wait, it will. This is just my anxiety. I'm talking myself out of it. I have this little voice that's in me that just feels, and it almost feels like a little pebble within you, right? That's just waiting for you to find it, waiting for you to listen to. That's what you have to listen to at that moment. Just like with me, we're talking about the radio show, about how I convinced myself of saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Don't put me on. Don't put me on. Don't put me on. And then when I was in silence and I was still, and afterwards I heard that voice say, you have to go. I didn't want to listen to it, but I went.
I experienced that too, just as you described. It's smaller, softer, it's gentler but persistent, and it doesn't feel frantic.
Exactly. And the key word is persistence, is that it'll keep coming back. But what if?
Yes.
But what if?
Yes.
But what if? So when you have that little voice inside you that's saying, but what if it works out? But what if that happens? But what if? That's what it is.
So are there any things that you do? Like I know for me, when I engage in my meditation practice, even if it's 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, when that's consistent, I feel like I'm so much more able to hear and trust that inner voice. And when I fall off my meditation practice, it gets a lot more foggy. I have more trouble distinguishing between me versus my intuition. Do you have that? Are there any practices that you have that you're like, wow, when I do X, Y, or Z, whether it's working out or meditating or any part of your diet or any part of who you spend time with, you feel like, oh, this is where it's kind of like going to the gym for your ability to hear?
Absolutely. So for me, it's walking. When I'm walking, that's where I get clarity. But you can get clarity in all different areas of your life. It could be sitting down and meditating for you.
Yeah.
For me, it's taking a walk. When I walk, I put my phone down, I walk, and all of a sudden the creativity comes. And you're connecting. Even when you don't call it meditation, right? You're connecting with your higher self and your higher power and your angels and your guides when you feel that creativity come in. That, oh, I should do this, 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 and this. And my life would be better if I did this, 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 and this. And that positivity, right? So what you're looking for is what gets you up? What gets you feeling that positivity? Is it walking? Is it jogging? Is it sitting down and reading? Is it cleaning your house, right? There's so many different ways. Sometimes it's something that you're naturally doing that you don't even think that you're doing. So for example, cleaning your house could be a very spiritual practice for you, that as you're decluttering, as you're throwing things away, as you're cleaning, you're receiving insight and creativity, right? So it all depends. It all depends. Automatic writing is another.
I love automatic writing. That's like one of my favorites. Sometimes when I go back and read my journals of automatic writing, I am shocked. First of all, it does not sound like me at all. Like my normal Marie voice that I'm familiar with for my whole life. I'm like, dude, whoever this is, which actually brings me to a question I didn't ask you. How and where does the notion of a higher self fit into kind of our spirit team?
So yourself, your higher self is your soul, right? So we go through life as having a human experience, and also spiritual experience, but we're connected to our soul. So our soul is our other version of us. It's that version of us that can never be destroyed. It's what stays in our body and then transitions on into the afterlife. So your soul remembers. Your soul remembers your gifts, your talents, your abilities, and what you're meant to do. Your soul remembers the way. So when your life is frantic, when you're freaking out, when you're having anxiety, when you're having panic, your soul knows. So your soul keeps track of things that happen between two worlds. Your soul keeps track of what happens before we're born here in this world. Your soul keeps track of what you're meant to do while you're here on earth. And guess what? Your soul keeps track of everything that you do within life. So the cool part is that at the end of your life, when you pass on, let's say that you had Alzheimer's or dementia, your soul remembers. Things are backed up in two places, your head and in your soul. And thank God, because guess what? You're not going to remember your life, right? You're not going to remember every stop sign that you went through, every person that you met, what happened when you were 3 years old. You'll have some memories. But the thing is that over time, our brains just can't handle it. Memories start to fog up. They start to get dark. We can't see. We can't remember some of those things. Like there's even memories from my childhood that I try to recall. And it's the memories that used to be so vibrant are now more vague. Well, the thing is that when it comes to your soul, one day when we pass on, we download, right? We download on the other side, and all this information, everything from your life, things that you don't even remember, your soul does. For example, like I said, every single step you took, every person that you met, all of those little moments in life that your brain forgets and dumps at the end of the day because there's no room for it, we remember.
All right, so let's talk about life review, because I think that was a big piece of this book. And I found it so inspiring to know what's coming and also to understand that we can start doing this now. Again, don't wait until you're dead. So what is a life review and how can we start using it?
The life review is it's a soul point that we all go through when we pass away. And the funny part is that everybody's interested in the life review, but nobody actually wants to go through their life review or see I can't tell you how many comments that I get that like, can I skip the life review? Do I have to do it, Matt? Can someone else do it for me? I swear to God, I get all these comments and I'm like, what are you talking about? And people think there's going to be a bad experience, right? So here's what the life review is. The life review is that as we go through life, we download all these moments. And then at the end of our life, we go this life review. So we go through this tunnel of white light. We see our loved ones again. And then we're guided through this life review. We meet our spirit guide and our guardian angel. And that's the weirdest experience, by the way, I think, because souls who get to the other side, they see these two souls that are there, your spirit guide and your guardian angel, and they know them, but they don't know how they know them. And they're familiar to them. And they're like, wait a minute, I know you. I can't place your name. Like, who are you, right? And then they introduce themselves. I'm your spirit guide and your guardian angel. I've been with you. And how many of you who are listening have felt like, oh my God, I wish I could ask my spirit guide, but where the hell were you when this happens, right? How many of you asked your guardian, wish you could ask your guardian angel, and where were you, right? Well, the thing is that at the end of your life, you get to ask these questions. And they were there in ways that you never thought. So what happens is that we go through this life review. So we are shown from the moment that we're born, so the moment that we die, everything in between. So the moment that your soul was born into this world, the steps that you took, right? Meeting your mom and dad or seeing your mom and dad for the first time when you were born. You see that their love for you, right? You see the challenges that you went through within life. You see the people that helped you, the people that cared for you, the people that were the challenges within your life, the people that loved and nurtured you, the people that propelled you and pushed you forward. And then you see your life as well. You see every challenge that you went through with certain people, the fights that you had, right? You see the people that you let down. You see the people that you hurt. You see the great things that you did, the not so great things that you did, the moments in life that passed by you, the moments in life that you had success, and so much more. And you see the way that you changed the world. The world wouldn't be the world without you. So you see all these moments, and people will say to me all the time, well, Matt, I don't think that I did anything good. I don't think that, I was somebody that was a mover or a shaker or did any of these things. But somewhere along the way, you changed somebody which did something. It's like the butterfly effect, right? Yes. And that's what we see at the end of our life. So what I can tell you is that at the end of our life, it's the most emotional thing that anyone has gone through. And the best way I can describe it is that people are so afraid of seeing the bad things that they did, right? Or the things that they're shameful of, or the things that, that they want to erase from their past. But they are part of you. They're part of your story and who you are. And at the end of your life, there is this success story that's there. And there's this great story that's there. And it's the same thing with documentaries, right? The Whitney Houston documentary, the Michael Jackson documentary would not be the documentary it is without the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? You have to go through it all. You have to see it all. Our life would be boring if we didn't have challenges along the way. So you go through everything. You see the love, the hurt, the loss, the success, the money, the fame, whatever it is that you're meant to go through your life review. You see it, you see how it shaped you. And then you have all these lessons that you share with the spirit team on the other side. And then that's when you find out the purpose of your life and you pick your mission now. Is your mission to be a spirit guide? Are you meant to watch over somebody? What are you going to do with this information now? Because if there's something that you didn't get to accomplish here in life, right? And we all have something we didn't get to accomplish. Even the people who are, famous singers and songwriters, there's things that they didn't get to accomplish. Because we have this big, huge agenda and we're not going to get to everything. There's things that you can do on the other side. And that's where your next journey on the other side takes off. So your life review becomes this pivotal moment. And also you forgive people. You forgive the people that hurt you. People who hurt you, they ask for your forgiveness. You go through this whole reconciliation in heaven. And that's why it's a place of peace. So I want to give you this analogy because I love to teach with analogies. That's just how I learn and work. It's how my brain operates. So it's like this. People always say to me, Matt, how is it a place of peace? How do we get there? What does the life review do? What is it like? Well, we all agree to go through this life review and to hand over the emotional baggage, to forgive and to forget and to do all of these things so that this way we can all be at peace on the other side, right? There is no, oh, my ex-husband is in a different place. My ex-husband isn't in the same heaven as I am. You put all that aside for one reason, to watch over the people that you love and care about. So what's hard is that there's separation here in this world. For example, we see this a lot with people who come from divorced and broken families, where their dad may not have been able to be a part of their life because their mom hated their father, their dad hated their mom. They didn't spend holidays together. They spent holidays apart. Well, in heaven, it's not like, oh, I'm going to watch over my daughter today, and because you're my ex-husband, you need to watch over her. You get her Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I get her Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's not like that. We're all together with one another, and we're able to coexist with one another. We're able to be at peace. Here's why. So going back to the analogy. So think of it like TSA. When you go to the airport, you check your bags at the counter, right? Anything that's over the size, we check if it's too large. And then we go through the metal detectors, and they wand us down. They look at us. We have to take off our shoes and our belts, get rid of any firearms, anything that can be hazardous or potentially hazardous to other people. We all go through that metal detector. We leave our baggage, and we pass through the TSA line. We are just with ourselves. Our bags are packed. We don't have anything on us that could harm anybody else, right? And we know when we get into that airplane that nobody else has a gun or a knife or anything that would potentially be hazardous or dangerous to anybody. We make that agreement when we're in line at the airport, whether you like it or not. You go through it, and you go through it for a reason. You choose to do it to keep everybody safe, and everybody else chooses to do it so that this way they keep you safe, you keep them safe, and the airport's a safe place. Same thing in heaven. The baggage is our emotions. We leave it at the desk, right? Our baggage is those that hurt, that pain, that guilt, all of those things we choose to leave so we can enter this new world, right? And then those things that we have on our heart, what we did to other people, what we felt about other people, those pains, those resentments, those hurts, those are like our weapons. We leave those behind as well. So when we pass through all of this, it's all left behind, and it's just us, just like in the airport.
So is there anything we can do now before we go through that version of the life review to start getting more in alignment with our purpose and our calling and our dreams while we have time?
Absolutely. The first step is going and revisiting the painful moments from your past and saying they don't have power over me anymore. Because how many times they do? And you're probably on here. I know that your listeners are saying, but they don't. No, they do, right? How many times have you, Marie, how many times have you had that one person, that one client who is saying, I'm not gonna go and I'm fine by myself. I'm not gonna love again. I'm not gonna get into another relationship because this person treated me like SHIT, and I don't want to go and have anybody else in my life like that. Well, what you're doing is you're letting that person have power over you, right? Is that just because that person treated you so horribly, right? You are now saying, well, I'm shutting down. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're not. Well, what did you learn from that relationship? Forgive that person. Thank that person, right? They weren't your soulmate. They proved you wrong. They weren't the person that was going to love and care for you. Now go out and find the person that is, and take the lessons with you. And that's what it is that it's really about looking at this. And I think that people are so afraid of that. They're so afraid of looking and saying, you know what? I want to go and change this about my life and change that about my life. But they're looking at the past and saying, I have to protect myself at the same time. It's all about letting go so that you can move forward. Beautiful. And letting go doesn't mean that you forget, right? It just means that you don't let it hold power over you.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about something, because, when I was on your podcast, which was excellent, by the way, I've talked about this a lot on my show. The past couple of years has been really challenging with my parents. They're still in their health challenges right now. And you had told me off camera that my mom had kind of showed up, and I was like, wait a minute, my mom's still here. I didn't realize that souls or spirits could communicate, perhaps not using language while they're still here. And then there was something that happened. Josh and I just got back from a long trip in Sicily. And my dad at the time was in the ICU while we were in Italy, and he was in New Jersey. And literally Josh turned to me and said, I know this is going to sound strange. He's like, but your dad's talking to me right now. I was like, okay, because that's how we are. And he was like, it was really persistent. He wanted me to check in with you about X, Y, or Z. And he's asking me for you to say something out loud right now so he would be okay. And again, Josh this came to him. He's like, I know this sounds crazy. I was like, I don't think it sounds that crazy because there's a lot happening right now. So can you just talk a little bit about that's possible, that sometimes a person's soul or spirit may have something to say, even though they're still in body, and consciously they may not be speaking it.
Yeah, so souls reach out. And I see this a lot with people who have Alzheimer's, people who have dementia, people who are really end stage of life.
That's my dad, actually.
Yeah.
So he's losing his memory. Yep.
So with Alzheimer's, dementia, end stages of life, right? These are signals that they put out. And the whole thing that I've realized is that the same way that souls communicate with energy, when souls can't speak, when people can't speak here in this world, they sometimes use their energy to speak. So you might feel as though they need to check up on somebody or call somebody, or somebody might show up, and somebody might show up in a reading that's really, really sick, that needs your attention, that needs your love. And sometimes the souls will show me that person because there's something that you can do to help them, to better understand them, or to help yourself in that situation. I'm going to give you an example. So this happened during COVID. I'll never forget. There was a producer of mine at the time who, at the time, she had gotten the call that her sister was on a ventilator and her sister was not doing well. Her sister had COVID, her body was shutting down, and she couldn't get to her sister. And even if she gets to her sister, it really wouldn't have mattered because they weren't letting anybody in at the time. So she's like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I'm like, listen, send thoughts to your sister. Just send thoughts. Say, I love you. I care about you. They're not letting me in. I can't come and see you. Anything that you need to tell her that you would tell her right now, just start speaking to her in your mind. Just send these thoughts to her. Well, the most amazing thing happened. After a week that her sister was on life support, she'd come off of it. She had woken up. And when she had woken up, she was able to go and see her sister. Well, when she got there, her sister said, I heard you speaking to me.
Wow.
I heard you. I thought you were here. I thought you were here with me. She goes, no, I wasn't here. I was on the road with Matt. She's like, I heard you. The thing is that we're more connected than we think. And the more that you tune into your soul and your energy and, that remembering of your life chart and what you're meant to do, and you align with your talents and gifts, the more that you pick up on the outside world. I think that here in this world, it's very easy to get distracted. We have our phones pinging. We have news that's constantly going off. We're, constantly being pulled into so many different areas of our life that sometimes we lose focus. So it's so important. It's so important that you ground yourself, that you get back sometimes to just being you without the cell phone, being you. And I know that you teach this as well, right? And what I love about you, Marie, and I'm going to tell this to your listeners too, because, I love that you practice what you teach, because that's the type of teacher that I am as well. And I'll share with you a little something about Marie that I got to learn, is that if you try to contact Marie during the day, good luck. She puts her phone on Do Not Disturb. She puts her phone on Do Not Disturb, and she gets her SHIT done. And she will reply every time I text Marie, whether it be 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever the hell time it is. I don't get a message back from her until 6 o'clock at night when she's done doing what she's going to do, and she practices what you teach, right? Time genius, right?
Yes.
Time genius.
Yeah.
So, I love that about you.
Thank you.
Because the thing is that, you take the time and you separate your time and you do what you got to do, and what you teach is what you live. And it's the reason why you're so successful. And I got to tell you that that's the one thing that I want other people to understand too, is that, me doing what I do, you doing what I do, we don't just tell you how to live your life, right? We live our life this way. We don't teach you how to live your life. We practice. We put this into practice. We use this every day. So the thing is that at the end of the day, you have to make time for yourself. You have to ground yourself. You have to get back that person. Life will take you away from who you're meant to be. Life will get in front of you. So many things will happen, but it's about grounding yourself, pulling yourself back in, and listening to yourself.
What's the one thing that your guides have told you that either shocked or scared the crap out of you?
Oh my God. Hands down, my guides had told me that I was meant to go and to be a psychic medium. And that scared me a little bit in the beginning. Because like I said, I was getting away from this world that I knew, that I felt comfortable in, that I felt safe in.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm doing this. I can't believe that I'm going into this world that I know nothing about, right? That I don't know how it's going to end up for me, what's going to happen, but I got to trust it. I'm going out on a whim.
What's the most underrated spiritual habit that you think we all need?
Oh my God, 100% trusting the signs. Looking for signs. Signs are the number one way that our loved ones in spirit communicate. So trust in what you're getting and don't look at anyone else's signs. Just look at your own.
What's your spiritual 911 move if your life goes sideways?
Talking to my angels. 100%.
And what do you say?
So whatever it is that's bothering me, I'm scared to go on this trip. I'm scared that X, Y, and Z is happening. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. I'm nervous. Help me with this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to change this. Right? And I call upon that. There's some things in life that we don't have the answer to. I don't have the answer to. There's some things in life that we can't control. We can't fix. I remember calling upon my angels when my mom had cancer. I didn't know what to do. I was powerless in that moment. I could get her to the best hospital, the right doctors, but I had to put the rest in heaven's hands. I had to ask for help.
Okay, give us the top 3 messages from Spirit that you want us to know.
Okay, 1, never give up. 2, you have a whole team that always believes in you. Your angels, your spirit guides, your loved ones that are watching over you. And 3, it's that your loved ones in spirit believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself.
Matt, you are fantastic. I really do. You have such a special place in my heart. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for listening to the messages that came to you. You've made such a difference in my life and made a difference in millions of people's lives. And Matt was so nice. He gave me one of his other amazing books. You have so much that you do in this world. Where can people find you? Where can they come see you? Where can they interact with everything that you've created?
Well, the best thing is that you don't have to be dead to find me. I have a website. It's meetmattfraser.com. Great. And also Marie and I follow each other on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at Meet Matt Fraser or on Facebook.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here. You're the best. And I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you so much.
Hey, if you loved this video, you need to watch this one next. Trust me on that.